everyone, and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be doing what has become a bit of an annual tradition on my channel, going over my top 10 favourite albums of the year. Now I do always preface this videos by saying that I'm not an expert in new music, and in fact most years I kind of struggled to couple together a top 10 list, if I'm being honest. But even this year, there's been a few really good new releases, and a few underwhelming ones as well. But I've got a list here. I've got a list of 11 in total I bought. But I would say if you're looking for a definitive list, or the Critics' Choice list or whatever, this isn't it. These are just the albums I bought from the artists I like, and I just thought that I would share my ranking with you. So like I said, I've got 11 albums here, and it felt a shame to just do a top 10 and leave this one out. So yeah, at number 11, last place for me is Robert Forster and Strawberries. And then it's good to cry. Which, as you can see, this copy here is a signed copy I bought when I went to see him. Robert Forster, he was in a band called The Go-Betweens, in the 80s, definitely most well known for that. And he's then had a solo career, really, and I really don't know much about his solo career, really. I only really bought this because I seen him and thought he was very good live, actually. I thought, I'll maybe buy this album, and, it was nice to get a signed one, so a little memento from the gig, more than anything. I mean, this is a solid album. It's okay. It's quite short. There's only 8 songs on it, so it is quite concise. But some of the songs do drag on a little bit. There's a track called Breakfast on the Train, which is a very narrative kind of storytelling sort of song, which is 7 minutes 56 seconds, which is a bit of a drag, I have to say. But then there's other tracks in there which are a lot tighter songs, A Good to Cry. It's a really good kind of 60s style track. You could imagine the Monkees or early Kinks perhaps doing that, so that's really good. And then I really I think it's the opening track on side 2 called All of the Time is really good as well. But then there's a few other tracks that are quite sleepy on the second side. But there's some good stuff on here though. But it's definitely an album which I think probably would have made a better 3 or 4 track EP. So yeah, Robert Forster and Strawberries there at number 11. Okay, let's start now at number 10. We have got Sandra's Wedding here and the album Artus Rex. The ice is melting in the which, Sandra's Wedding are a band. I think they're based in the Goole area, in Yorkshire, and they're very much sort of 80s jangle pop sort of vibe. They've been going a few years, but this album is very much a bit of a change of direction for them. It's a lot more acoustic based, this album. There's a lot of strings on here. The songs are very elegant, they're very nice songs, but it's just a little bit forgettable compared to some of their earlier work, which is a bit more, which is just a bit more upbeat, a bit more exciting, sort of thing. This album feels a lot more mellower, kind of thing. But there's some good tracks in here. I do the opening track, Sunrise, Shook the Pearl, Good Morning England. Those opening 3 tracks are really good, and then there's a couple of good ones on side 2, Blood from the Stones, really good, and I think it's Blinking Off an Eye, is a nice one as well. So there's some good stuff on this album, but just as a whole, it feels a bit samey throughout. It gets a little bit similar sound throughout it, kind of thing. And also think is their weakest album up to this point as well, because they've had some great albums. I think the last one from 2023 called Hopeful Boy Replacement Service, that album is fantastic. It was one of my albums of the year, or it's one that's it's one that I still listen to from that year. But this one, I probably don't think I will still be listening to it in 2 years time, unfortunately. So yeah, that's Sandra's Wedding there and the album Artus Rex. Okay, let's start now at number 9 on my list. We have got Paul Weller and Find El Dorado here. Find El Dorado. So this is a covers album from Mr. Weller this year, and it's the second covers album he's done after 2004's Studio 150. comparing the two, probably Studio 150 is maybe slightly better, like I would say. But considering for me that was among my least favourite, like Paul Weller solo albums, you know, you can probably tell. I mean, this really isn't a favourite album like of mine. It's quite a long record. So it's a proper double album. I think there's about 16 tracks like on here, and they all just get a bit samey throughout. It's very similar kind of like arrangements like on it, like all quite acoustic, quite mellow, like basic arrangements, like of like these songs. I mean, most of the songs are quite obscure tracks. They're not ones that I was particularly familiar with. I think the only one that I was familiar with was a version of like I Started a Joke, the old like Bee Gees song, which like the Beautiful South also do a really great cover of, which is probably my favourite version of it. Bee Wells' version's alright, and I do quite like the title track. I find El Dorado's like a really nice song. I don't know who did the original of that, but that's a really nice song, and like it really suits Weller's kind of voice and like vibe. But a lot of the other tracks like on here, it just kind of melds into one, like again, like a bit like the Sandra's Wedding one, just kind of melds into one, and there's not a whole lot that is really worth coming back to like on here for me. So yeah, we definitely take a bit of a step up now in quality for the next couple here. So my number 8 album is going to be the Chameleons album, Arctic Moon. Which, yeah, this is, as I think I've shown this one, I've probably shown a lot of these actually like in like my last final update, but this is a bit of a comeback album for them, like I believe. Like they've not released like an album like as the Chameleons for many years. I kind of yeah, like originally from Manchester, like in like the kind of like the early 80s. Like I guess a bit of a kind of proto kind of shoegaze sort of band, a bit gothy, but really good songs. Like sort of like even like going back to like their sort of like their early stuff. And this album has got some real moments of magic like on it for me, like as well. Particularly, there's a great track like Lady Strange is fantastic. The chorus of that's just so catchy. Feels Like the End of the World is like really fantastic like as well. Like again, like there's touches of kind of progressive rock on here, like sort of quite like atmospheric guitars and that. And then side 2 like is like a lot like is like pretty good like as well. So yeah, no, like a good solid record here then, like from the Chameleons there, called Arctic Moon. Okay, now at number, I think we're on number 7 now on my list, which is going to be David Byrne and the album Who Is the Sky. Everybody's going through the garbage, which I'll just get out of this sleeve here to show you this copy, which is a really nice copy. It's like the lenticular cover design there, which I'm hoping is coming out like on like the camera there, so that's really nice. And then it's you get a massive poster in it like as well, and just some great artwork like on here. And the album itself is pretty good like as well, I have to say. It's so I was going to say, like, is it a change of direction for him? I mean, I'm not maybe sure. I don't know. It feels like a kind of a typical David Byrne album. Quite like idiosyncratic kind of songwriting. He's all over the place, like kind of thing, like with what like he's like writing about. Like there's like some interesting musical choices on here like as well. He's got I think it is formally credited to David Byrne and the Ghost Train Orchestra, so they add like some nice like brass touches on it and like different like arrangements of that, like quite a creative fun album here. Again, I just think there's maybe a couple on here that maybe aren't quite so memorable. There's 12 tracks. They maybe cut it down to 10, like it might have worked like maybe like a bit better. But there's some really good ones in there, like Everybody Laughs like was a single, which is a really fun song. Like I really like that one. Like great like acoustic guitar on it, and like nice string work on it like as well. Like My Apartment Is My Friend is really good as well. I like what's the other one? Like Don't Be Like That like is like really good too. And what's the other one? Yeah, like What Is the Reason for It? And there's a few guest stars on here. You got St. Vincent on here. Got Hayley Williams from Paramore as well. Like no, like it's a good record here. Like by David Byrne. Maybe not quite as good like as his last one, like American Utopia, but there's still some really good worthy tracks on here. Okay, let's start now at number 6 we have got an album here by The Chills called Springboard.
When the ripples of sunlight burn your flesh, when we're home with them,
which I must say I wasn't sure about including on this list, because I think probably you could be forgiven for thinking, because it's kind of subtitled there, the early unreleased and like the early unrecorded songs. In fact, there, and so you could be forgiven for thinking, oh, this is just a compilation. Like this has no place like on like a list, but considering the fact that these songs were never released, you know, like, or like even like recorded, like back in the day, like their contemporary recordings that the Chills did, like Martin Phillips did, like off like these songs, like sort of like in like more recent years. To me, this is like equivalent of like someone, say, putting an album together of songs they've had sitting about for like 20 years, which is essentially like what this is, you know. And like other artists did that a lot, like Prefab Sprite, for example, did that with one of their more recent albums. Well, I say more recent, like maybe from about 10 years ago. It was all tracks like he wrote like in like the 90s. So this really is like no different. It does have an added sense of like prophecy to it, like a little bit as well, because earlier this year we sadly lost like Martin Phillips, like off like the Chills. So this album was a kind of a bit of a kind of like pet project for him, like during like his later years, like going back to like these like early songs that he wrote, and then but obviously like never recorded. And some of them are absolutely brilliant. Like there's a good couple of tracks like on here, Dolphins, like Learn to Try Again, If This World Was Made for Me, like all of like the first side's fantastic, Stay Longer's brilliant. I mean, there's maybe a couple of weak ones on here, but there's 20 tracks on this album, so it is it's a proper double album, and that's maybe it's flawed a little bit. I think if they maybe cut it down like a little bit, maybe focused it a bit more, tried to make I guess a proper cohesive album out of this, rather than just trying to we'll put everything with everything like we recorded on it. It might have worked like a little bit better, but there's some absolutely brilliant material like on here, and just what a way to go out like as well, like with like a great album like such as like this, like by like the Chills. So yeah, really good stuff here, but yeah, maybe like a little bit too long to be considered a kind of proper cohesive album. Okay, so next up now at number 5 on my list was another one of the big comeback albums of the year, which is More by Pulp.
by the way.
Which is a really good album, if maybe a little bit, perhaps maybe slightly like overhyped and overrated a little bit. I mean, but also personally for me, like I'm definitely not the world's biggest fan of Pulp overall. They've got a couple of great albums from like the 90s, but I'm not a mega fan of theirs. So I can imagine for a lot of big fans, you know, this being their first album in, I think, like more than 20 years, like maybe even like 25 years, you know, this like this was like a big deal, like of like an album, and but there's some great material like on here, like particularly like the first 3 tracks are really great. Spike Island, Tina, and Grown Ups are all great top tier Pulp songs for me. Just kind of then beyond that, I think there's a couple of tracks which are just like a little bit boring, perhaps, like on like side 2, that just don't quite work. They all kind of blend into one another, but I do quite like the closing track, like A Sunset's really good. Farmer's Market's good as well. Like there's kind of they're quite like evocative tracks, like again, like on here. So like a good record here by Pulp. Seen them earlier this year, like as well, and they were absolutely fantastic. Like again, like a lot of these songs probably worked better like on the stage like than they do like on this album. But no, like a good record here though, like by Pulp. Okay, let's start now at number 4 on my list. We have got the Lathums and Matter Does Not Define. This is one that came out earlier in the year, and I think at the time, like when it first came out, I maybe wasn't massive on it. I was maybe a bit disappointed by the album, and I still think it probably is the Lathums' weakest album, but it's probably grown on me a little bit since then. Like I'd say, I think there's a couple of excellent top tier Lathums tracks on there for me, firstly. So Heartbreaker is a killer song, absolutely fantastic track, a barnstorming song, great. And then there's a couple of great tracks on side 2. The Jester's really good, and Surrounded by Beauty is really, really, really fantastic as well. Very melodic, quite Roy Orbison-esque like sort of track that. Just really good, and like again, it shows them like expanding their sound, taking in different influences, but doing it really well, like that. For me, the other tracks like on here, like where they just are trying to be like an indie rock band, just don't quite work. So like tracks like Stellar Cast just feels like a bit of a rewrite of something like I See Your Ghost from like the debut album, and then No Direction. I've like ever since like that was like the lead single, I was never a massive fan of it. But there's other good ones in there, like Unrequited Love, like is a nice like Lathums ballad. Knocking at Your Door's good as well. Like I like the kind of time signature change like in that. And then what other ones are good? Like Reflections of Lessons Left is like good as well. But I also got at the same time, like I don't really care for the closing track, like Long Shadows. Just feels a bit self-indulgent to me, that one. So a mixed bag of an album here by the Lathums. More good than bad though, definitely. But like a bit like my friend like Ollie said, like in his video, also just a little bit like underwhelming like as well. But it also just kind of does show you know, like for like this is number 4, and I'm just middling like on like the album still, so it's really not been like a great year like for new music like overall for me. Now number 3, bit of a wild card pick here. It's not one that I've shown on my channel because I only picked it up a couple of days ago, but it is CMAT and Euro Country.
What do you do when good men cry?
Which how I ended up picking this up and like listening to it was CMAT was featured on Blossom's last album. She co-wrote a couple of tracks like on that, and that was the first like I'd ever heard of her. And then this album came out, was really critically like acclaimed, and then was nominated for the Mercury Prize as well. So that's when I thought, okay, I'll maybe give it a listen, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I thought it's really clever songwriting, great arrangements, great variety like of like arrangements as well. So you've got tracks like When a Good Man Cries, which are full of like classic kind of country kind of fiddles and like that, and like kind of like you've got like a kind of more like again like more like off like that kind of country sort of feel. But then there's other tracks like the Jamie Oliver Petrol Station, for example, which are more kind of post-punk kind of hard-hitting sort of like the rhythm on that is very like quite like an intense song, but written like with so much humor like and like wit like on like this and like as well. And then a couple of great tracks like on side 2 as well, like Lord, Let That Tesla Crash. Great title as well. Like it's just an absolutely beautiful song, really, really beautiful. The voice of that's just incredible. And like Running Planning like is like another really nice one too. So yeah, for me, a bit of like a wild card one this, because it wasn't one that I expected to even have like on like this list. But I just kept coming back to this album so much that I was like, I need to own it, and then it also needs to be like on like my list somewhere. Number 3 is where this has fallen, CMAT and Euro Country. Now my number 1 and 2 are definitely a league above like all of those, and these are 2 fantastic albums, like easily the best 2 like off like the year, and it was really only a case of trying to decide which way round to put them. But I guess it almost like it was kind of obvious in a way from the start, like off like the year, really what would be my album of the year. So anyway, at number 2 is Wolf Alice and The Clearing. So yeah, really just in this year discovered and got into Wolf Alice thanks to this album, and like also thanks to my friend like Ollie Saunders, who again like I will link his video in the description, where he does the same thing as me basically like here, like doing like his like top 10 albums of the year. Ollie basically said you need to listen to like the new Wolf Alice album. It's very much up your street, quite 70s sort of like soft rock kind of feel to it, and really up to this point Wolf Alice had been a kind of indie rock band, really like a pretty good successful like indie rock band, but just a kind of like just another band really. But really with this album they kind of they're trying out something different, you know, like they're going much more for a kind of like more natural kind of sound, but also like a lot of variety like on here like as well. Like there's no two tracks of the year that really sound the same. From the opening track Thorns with its great really builds up really well, great harmony vocals on there, to the kind of theatrical nature of Bloom Baby Bloom. Just Two Girls has got a really smooth kind of Steely Dan-esque kind of bass line on it, just really good stuff. And then Leaning Against the Wall is a really nice kind of Fleetwood Mac-esque sort of song. It's got that kind of like Lindsey Buckingham Never Going Back Again sort of guitar picking style like on that, which is fantastic. My favourite on here would be Bread, Butter, Tea, Sugar. That is basically the best song that Jeff Lynne didn't write, really. It's so ELO coded. I just absolutely love it. And like again, it just works really well, like with like fantastic vocals like from Ellie Roswell there, and all the band on. I mean, they're just a fantastic band. Again, I went to see them live a couple of weeks back, and they're just absolutely brilliant and played like a lot of this album. And it's kind of made me go back and check out some of like their earlier stuff like as well. So like another album here that was nominated for the Mercury Prize here. So that is Wolf Alice there and The Clearing. But my number one, which will probably be no surprise to any viewers of my channel, is Sam Fender and People Watching. Which this one, talking about the Mercury Prize, actually won it, and I think is a well-deserved winner. Like overall, like I know there was a bit of like not controversy, but people saying, I only won it because it was held in Newcastle and like that sort of thing. But I do think this is a well-deserving album, like to like have won. It's easily Sam Fender's best album. Again, I feel like I'm echoing like a lot of like what Ollie said like in like his video, but I feel this is his best album by far. It shows a real sense of maturity and growth like as like an artist. Again, the songs in here are just so big sounding, working with like the producer like Andy Granduciel from like War on Drugs, really gives the album a great kind of cinematic kind of quality, which I mean, as great as some of Sam Fender's earlier work like had been, and like they get some real anthems like on those earlier albums, just like some of the tracks I've got here, like whether it be like People Watching or the kind of like the dramatic build of Wild Long Lie to like Arm's Length with its great again Fleetwood Mac-y kind of like sort of vibe on that. It's just a wonderful album. Brooke Bentham, who's now like in like his touring band, kind of does some great harmony vocals like throughout this record. And it's just really great. I'd say the only weak links really on here for me is maybe like a little bit closer is just a kind of just feels like a bit of like a bog standard Sam Fender track, but you know, a bog standard Sam Fender track is like still better than most of the stuff like on like the albums like I've shown like up to like this point, like in like the video. So a great record here, easily my album of the year, and was even good enough to make my top 50 albums of all time. I like it that much. So that's People Watching there by Sam Fender. So yes, I hope you have enjoyed that video there going through my top 10 albums of the year. If there's any that I've missed out or things that you think, why didn't you buy that, like, or like whatever, like please do let me know like in like the comments. I am always open to new recommendations and whatnot. So like I would be interested to hear if there's anything you think that I should particularly like try out. But anyway, I hope you have enjoyed the video, and I will see you all again in the future for the next one. Goodbye.